again, I'm sure this is my service of the Unitarian Society of New Haven. If you are a newcomer, a special welcome to you and an invitation to stay after the service for refreshments in the social hall. We are glad you are here. As we enter this holiday week, let's remember that while our individual beliefs may be quite different one from another, each of us decided to be here now together to create this beloved community this morning, either here or online. And for that, I am very grateful indeed. I invite each of us to greet those seated around you this morning and to share greetings in the chat if you're online. Please say hello to your neighbor.
We already just maybe stand by right now. Hey, Charlie. We like saying that it's.
So I call us back together. And a few announcements to share this morning. At noon, following the service, we're going to have our fall congregational meeting. If you're joining us online, please just use the same link that you're using to join us right now, and the meeting will be right here. Our annual regifting sale will be 2 Sundays from now, this December 7th, before and after the service. And please look for announcements about when to drop off. You can drop off next week. There's a number of times you can drop off items. Just refer to your order service and to the announcements outside. Our festive annual Christmas Eve service on Wednesday, the 24th, is at 5:30. And as our custom, we'll have a orchestra. If you'd like to be in the orchestra, please like to be in the orchestra. And finally, in this Thanksgiving season, let us affirm that we gather together as a community of seekers to honor the interdependence of life, to respect the dignity of all, and to honor the land we move humbly on. Let us in that spirit acknowledge that this beloved sanctuary was built within the traditional territory of the Quinnipiac and other indigenous peoples. We are blessed by this space, and with it, we have an opportunity to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and its inhabitants, and to seek peace, liberty, and justice for every living creature. Let these principles hold us and guide us as we worship together this morning. And now I'd like to invite Reverend Stephen and Gracie and your grandpa forward to invite our cellists.
Good morning and happy Thanksgiving for everybody. Some years ago, I wrote a song and I realized it wasn't very good. I took out all the bad lines. I realized what was left was a Unitarian Universalist chapel. And I think about what does Thanksgiving mean for us here at the Unitarian Universalist Sanctuary? The answer is a feast of friends. Simple mercies and a common cup invite us to a joyous feast. Come all to the giving table, every seeker, blessed and least. Heading home, where hope ascends, gathered now for the feast of friends. So set a place for all who hunger, so the loneliness may be released. There's a thirst for life that goes so deep, it's quenched anew with a living feast. Broken hearts that make amends, gather now for the feast of friends. A joy awaits that never ends. Every time I come into this sanctuary, they're not merely waiting to be edified and gain wisdom. Sometimes we bring broken hearts. Sometimes we bring quiet exaltation and a sense of life's beauty. Either way, I invite you to come over if you have a sorrow. You can drop a shell or stone in the water, or light a broken candle to share a joy. As we rise, as you are willing and able to sing together, we lift our heart and thanks. It's number 355. You're great. 355.
The camera is. You're in.
Good morning.
This might be too soft.
There we go. Dean, here.
Hunger and food instability have been on many. Now that SNAP program has been placed on the chopping block and food prices are climbing. Somehow we as a people have come to the formula of which a person on SNAP can feed themselves on $6.17 a day. I just spent $5 on a medium cold brew with oat milk and 2 sweaters at Dunkin's. I gather we'll be left with $1.17 for actual food for the day. Think about the potential surviving on $6.17 a day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And even that's too much for we the people to pay for those who live in poverty. In the United States, we produce 136% more than we need in food each year. 35 of that gets wasted in the chain supply or just left in the fields to rot for the sake of making money on the markets. In the United States, 30% of our food is wasted at the consumer level. We just throw it out. Samuel Taylor Coleridge wrote, "Water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink," in his play The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Seems relatable to this food crisis we're in. We have a food surplus, and yet there are families hungry, and will be even more so with the reduction of the elimination of the SNAP program and the increase of these food prices. 18,168 families in New Haven, the city of New Haven, rely on SNAP benefits. That's 1 in 3 families where these payments are made to make certain that food is available on their tables. They are our neighbors. For food insecurity happens all year long, not just at Thanksgiving, not just at Christmas. What happens to people who are hungry and their bodies is well known in science. How a person's ability to work or to participate in school is also well documented. We, the people, are setting people who are at the lowest of classes up for failure. People act out when they're hungry. We, the people, intend to make the people of color, disabled, infirm, and elderly to be erased from our culture, criminalized. Happy Thanksgiving. Food, as they say, for thought. I have never been hungry in my lifetime. Not to say that I've never been hungry, like my body's told me that I should eat. I guess I've never been starving or malnutrition. I remember back to my childhood and Thanksgivings. My mother would prepare the Thanksgiving meal for my family and my grandparents, just sellers. My mother would be in the kitchen, I would be with her, and I'd be peeling potatoes, mashing the potatoes, and basting the bird, and setting the table. The food was bountiful and endlessly flowing out of the small kitchen in our tiny, humble home. Turkey, gravy, stuffing, mashed potatoes, squash, turnips, parsnips, grilled onions, asparagus, corn casserole, those candied yams with the marshmallows on it, I wish I could never understand. Muffins, biscuits, bread, cranberry sauce, oh yes, cranberry sauce, pies, cookies, and cakes, and don't forget the green bean casserole. Oh yeah. And whoever invented Jell-O salad that was molded in Tupperware container that had lime Jell-O, walnuts, pineapple, maraschino cherries, and mayonnaise? Yeah. There was a lot. My mother always made a lot. Far too much food for the 7 of us. Her young life was all about food. And this is more of a tale of hunger and my mother, as a champion, I suppose, her faith journey into service for community. My mom was born just as we were about to enter World War II. Her mother was from a very poor family and met and fell in love with my grandfather, who was about to enter the Navy. They married, and my grandfather would divorce her 4 years later, leaving her with 2 young children and the shame of being a divorced woman with no prospect of education or remarrying at that time. The result is that my mother grew up very poor, extremely poor. She would tell me about living in people's attics and not having heat, and also living above a bar as a teen and always being afraid of a drunk man coming into the house, because they would be bouncing around in the hallways. At that time, there was no SNAP benefits. There was no collection of child support. She grew up somehow learning how to be creative, making bologna, bread, elbow noodles, and tomatoes, feed her and her sisters, while my grandmother was out working to keep the roof over their heads. She would marry my father and live in the simplest of lives with two life's goals. First was to have children and to love them and support them, which she did. The second sorry, I lost my place. The second was that no one she knew was to be hungry. Pretty simple goals. She did not want to be the first woman to be an executive. She didn't want diamonds or pearls. She didn't want to become a professional singer, although her voice very much could have been. Two simple goals: love her children and take care of the basic needs of her family, neighborhood, and community. Flash forward to Thanksgiving dinners and all that food for my family of 5 and sometimes my grandparents. We lived in a lower middle class neighborhood. Kids and families were periodically just scraping by for food. Now enter in those turkeys and all that food. My mom would purchase large amounts of aluminum TV tray dinners, you know, those ones with the 3 sections in it. And she would make these meals. She would put the turkey in, and she would make up to 60 or 70 of them and put them in the freezer. She used them for snacks for us boys. There's the 3 of us when we come home from school, and our friends. And our friends were always at the house because they couldn't resist Mrs. Dean's goodies. She also baked weekly, and there was always cookies, pastries, and homemade popsicles and leftovers in the fridge, which anyone could come and get. And she always sent people home with bags of goodies as well. The second reason, which I did not know until her passing, was for these meals, was to share them with families who were struggling in the neighborhood. Divorce was very common in the 70s, and no one was going to go hungry, not on her watch. My mother also supplied the town's food pantry for 3 decades. She would buy things on sale, clip coupons, and give in great quantities to the food pantry. My brothers and I would call the food pantry, which was located at our basement, Judy's Country Store. We'd always triple the bags because it was always dark then. But there was always 8 to 10 plastic bags filled to take to the pantry weekly. After my mother died, the pantry which she gave to needed to start an ad campaign to get people to donate, as Mrs. Dean was no longer stocking it 2 to 3 times a month. After she died, I received many cards letting me know that my mom made a great impact on families in town. Some messages moved me to tears, as she would drop off bags of groceries to neighbors when she noticed that the neighborhood kids were acting hungry, which evoked that memory of her childhood when she was hungry. I never knew the impact of her simple life on her community until she passed. A very well-lived life, a very faithful life. My mom's relationship with hunger inspired and drove her to action. Thanksgiving to me is a time that brings back such good memories with my mom and her serving her community. 1 out of 3 families in New Haven will go to bed hungry tonight. This much I know. Bellies will not be full, and I just bought a medium cold brew with oat milk and 2 Splendas for $5 at Dunkin's. So this is the actual reality of our current situation in this country. I am so pleased to see these donations today. It is through continued community organization, not just during the holidays, and efforts from this community that we will continue to fight as good Unitarian Universalists for just an equitable world. A world with no hunger. Happy Thanksgiving.
My friends, our USNH covenant seeks to put into words what living in beloved community looks like and feels like. On most Sundays, we recite together a brief version of our covenant and encourage you to read and reflect on the full document on our website. While the following words express our intentions in writing, our true covenant lives and breathes in how we speak to and respect one another. Please join me now in reciting the words that appear in the order of service or in the chat on the live stream. We covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we will strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy. Now invite them forward. Thank you, choir. Our responsive reading this morning is number 656 in your great hymnal, A Harvest of Gratitude. I will read the plain font text and I invite you to respond with the italicized. Reading 656. Once more the fields have ripened to harvest, and the fruitful earth has fulfilled the promise of spring. How rich and beautiful is the bounty gathered, the golden grain and clustered corn, the grapes of purple and green. Season follows after season, after winter the spring, after summer the harvest late in the autumn. From the harvest of the soil, we are given occasion to garner a harvest of heart. A harvest of reverence, wondrous power and life at work in things that grow and in the soul. The time in our service when we are all invited to support as generously as possible the ongoing work of this community. Ushers will supervise the passing of collection plates, and you can look to the order of service for other ways to donate to USIH. Please know that your contributions to this congregation, whatever manner or mode, are gratefully received.
Over here. It's over here. I have had that never work, but maybe it'll work for you.
Oh, you know what?
Wait.
General Court of Connecticut. 1639 was first formally created. 50 years on for Massachusetts. They're being laughed at. Not to be having periodical. England feast tradition. And he tied it together with ancient themes of gratitude and harvest. Now, states beyond New England hardly recognize Thanksgiving. They all over the country. And even people that did so, by a very sensitive woman, Sarah Joseph Hale. Hale, the author of Mary of New Land, was a widow, raising 5 children. Rose became one of the most successful magazines in America, of Goody's Ladies' Club, which is read well more than 7. And she accomplished much in her 4 decades long career, espousing property rights for married women, advocating women to be allowed to become teachers, yes, teachers and doctors, creating daycare centers for children, white dresses for prom, and even publicizing the new custom from England of bringing Christmas trees into homes. It was her long determination, however, to create, quote, a national and fixed union festival that truly displays her vision and her amazing impact. In an 1847 editorial advocating for this national feast day, she wrote, henceforth and forever, as long as the union endures, the last Thursday in November be a day set apart in every state for its annual Thanksgiving. And for the next 2 decades, she would write countless articles about her feast day of families being reunited. And she sent letters to 6 presidents, each of whom firmly told her no. But not only did she think Thanksgiving was a restorative thing for families, but she also understood that in a time of growing national division, a national holiday of thanks was needed more than ever. It wasn't until the Union victories in Gettysburg and Vicksburg in late 1863 that Sarah Hale wrote to Lincoln. The president, remarkably, responded creatively within a month. In his late 1863 proclamation of Thanksgiving, one that for the first time gave Thanksgiving a definite date, quote, the last Thursday of November next. Lincoln said, no human counsel hath devised, nor hath any mortal hand worked out these great things. But in the midst of suffering almost beyond imagination, Lincoln strove to illumine the country's travails with that kind of deep compassion. And so he followed on with Sarah Hale's long campaign, because this proclamation did what Sarah indicated. Not to just address the North for military victories, but rather something addressed to both North and South, alike, to all and to every citizen. It was nothing less than an evocation of what life could be once this vicious war ended and Americans could once again remember its larger and vaster blessings. Now, remembering Lincoln's unique contribution to our modern Thanksgiving, yes, it can deepen our understanding of it. By recovering the Civil War origins of the holiday, we can gain an appreciation for the only holiday that combines both religious, spiritual, and national instincts, but in a form that is uniquely American, open, non-sectarian, free-spirited. As Lincoln said, it seemed to me fit and proper that they should be solemnly, reverently, and gratefully acknowledged as with one heart and one voice by the whole American people. He wrote that, inspired by Sarah Hale's dedication and crusade, that we could move past division. We could be bound together, a family reunited. A year later, in late November, Lincoln was invited to be a guest at the annual New York Festival commemorating, quote, the landing of the Pilgrims, to be held at the Astor House. The President quickly wrote back, respectfully declined the invitation, but added, the work of the Plymouth immigrants was the glory of their age. And while we reverence their memory, let us not forget how vastly greater is our opportunity. That's where I'm left on this Thanksgiving week, 2025. Because Lincoln understood that these, quote, Plymouth immigrants were more than just a symbol of national regeneration and hope. In the darkest days of the war, his remarkable imagination was able to envision that the nation's crisis then was somehow an opportunity greater than even the founders experienced. And that's our opportunity today. To understand this feast that could reunite us. So it's good to remember the woman behind the feast, her crusade, and how we might be united in gratitude, but only if we find the courage. Jesse?
Gratitude, it's a feeling. Thanksgiving is an action. Gratitude is something that we find ourselves personally, inwardly filled with. Thanksgiving is in our actions, it's in our words. I didn't get that growing up. I didn't understand that. To me, Thanksgiving was a day, and I lived in deep discomfort with that day, as so many of you might have. It was a day of togetherness with family, including some family I didn't always want to be together with. It was a day of rest, and yet it was one of the busiest, most hectic days of the year. It was a day when we went around the table and we said what we were thankful for, and very seldom did the words that we say out loud play out in our actions around that same table. In fact, I didn't really understand the word Thanksgiving until I learned it in Spanish. Because in Spanish, when you refer to Thanksgiving, you say Día de Acción de Gracias, the day of the action. of gratefulness or thankfulness. And I started exploring, where is the action in that word? And ironically, again, I found it from far outside the United States. I first understood the act of thanksgiving in the words of Argentine singer, revolutionary, and activist Mercedes Sosa. She wrote a song called Gracias a la Vida, in which she lays out all of the beauty that she finds and all of the gratitude that she finds in the action of giving thanks for the look in her family's eyes, for the tiredness of her feet as she walked in exile, for rainstorms, for the sound of crickets. And she lived her acción de gracias in this song. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio dos luceros cuando los abro, perfecto distingo negro del blanco en el alto cielo, su fondo estrellado, las multitudes de la gente que yo amo. Gracias a la vida me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el sonido y el abecedario con las palabras que pienso, declaro, madre, amigo, hermano, luz alumbrando la ruta del alma que estoy amando. Gracias a la vida me ha dado tanto, me ha dado la marcha de mis pies cansados, con ellos anduve ciudades y charcos, playas, desiertos, montañas y llanos, la casa tuya, tu calle, tu patio. Gracias a la vida me ha dado tanto, me dio el corazón que agita su marco cuando miro el fruto del cerebro humano, cuando miro el bueno tan lejos del malo, cuando miro el fondo de tus ojos claros. Gracias a la vida me ha dado tanto, me ha dado la risa y me ha dado el llanto. Así distingo dicha de quebranto, los dos materiales que forman mi canto, el canto que ustedes, que es el mismo canto y el canto de todos, que es mi propio canto. Gracias a la vida how do we translate that into this space, this world, this week, these feelings that are welling up inside each one of us? How do we sing about that? Well, this morning, as you were walking in, I asked a few random members of our television audience, what is one word that carries you through these times? What are you thankful for? And how do you express that? How will you carry that into your daily actions? Being a group of Unitarian Universalists, most of them gave me about a paragraph and a half answer. And then I said, that's amazing, that's wonderful. Now how about one word that can fit into a song? And so these are the words of the congregation. You will understand, you will sing along with this, because it's a very simple song. It's very different from the one we just sang. It goes like this. I'm going to sing it. We're going to sing Thank You for This Day. And then we're going to come through and add the words of the people I spoke with this morning. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Try that with me. Thank you for this day, oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day. Next word was openness. Thank you for this openness, oh, thank you for this openness. Thank you for this openness, oh, thank you for this openness. This healing, this healing, this healing openness. Healing, this healing, this healing openness. Our next person was thankful for patience. Thank you for this patience, oh, thank you for this patience. Thank you for this patience, oh, thank you for this patience. This healing, this healing, this healing patience. This healing, this healing, this healing patience. We have one child here among us, one person who was thankful for the immigrants. Thank you for these immigrants, oh, thank you for these immigrants. Thank you for these immigrants, thank you for these immigrants. He's healing, he's healing, he's healing immigrants. He's healing, he's healing, he's healing immigrants. And one child among us was thankful for the food. Thank you for this food, oh, thank you for this food. Thank you for this food, oh, thank you for this food. This healing, this healing, this healing food. This healing, this healing, this healing food. And last one more person among us, and I'm sure many of you are thankful for these friends. Thank you for these friends, oh, thank you for these friends. Thank you for these friends, oh, thank you for these friends. These healing, these healing, these healing friends. These healing, these healing, these healing friends. So my friends, we've come to the point where we pass the flame on from this physical flame. for you to carry with you. Would you please read with me words that are in your order of service? Carry forth this chalice flame, its illumination into our daily lives, its sustaining warmth into our relationships, the light of reason shining beyond these walls. May we carry the fire of hope in our hearts this day and in the week to come. And let's rise and raise our voices in song one last time with hymn number 1010. We give thanks. Gratitude is a feeling. Thanksgiving can be found in what we do with that feeling. One thing that I am certain of, my friends, is that I give thanks every day for you and for all that we do together to make this a better world. Go in peace and happy Día de Acción de Gracias.
Figure it out. All right, I promised everybody that we would figure this out before the congregational meeting.